Hello, 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 and welcome. Hope everyone's doing great. Welcome. I am Shane Moore, and I'll be here for the next 2 to 3 hours. We'll be talking tonight about the New World Order, global deception, and what is coming. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes with bringing about the New World Order. There's been many people that have talked about it, people in power, people with political power, people with financial power, people with religious power, just globally, people with power. They want this. They've wanted this for so long. And it seems that the key players are in place, that the key things are in place, the equipment, the timing, everything that they need to set this up. And I believe that it's going to be set up very soon. They have worked and continue to work by deception towards bringing about this New World Order and the global surveillance of every person on Earth by means of biotechnology and quantum computing. There are many signs that indicate the time is soon approaching that this mandatory global system of unification will be implemented. Mandatory. The powerful people, organizations, and groups seem to be in place ready to make this happen. So, if you'll join me tonight, I will explain. This is going to be a doozy. So, I'll explain the way I see it. I'll give names. I'll give corporate names, company names, organizations, and it's going to be shocking. So, if you would, just hold on, and we're going to take a short break and allow listeners who want to join our live chat to do so. Be back in 3 minutes.
You tossed me like a stone. You swept me off my feet. I can't feel my bones. I still count the days. You swept me off my feet. I keep going high, she keeps going low. Something feels wrong right now, I know. Something feels wrong. You don't wait for me, 'cause I keep breathing fire. I won't wait for you, 'cause you keep telling lies. I keep going high, she keeps going low. At the end of the day, she's gone low. You don't wait for me, 'cause I keep breathing fire. And you keep telling lies. You played me like a game. You told me it was fine, but I could feel the pain. It's been so many days, I still feel the pain. I still feel the pain. I keep going high, she keeps going low. Something feels wrong right now, I know. Something feels wrong. You don't wait for me, 'cause I keep breathing fire. I won't wait for you, 'cause you keep telling lies. I keep going high, she keeps going low. At the end of the day, she's gone low. You don't wait for me, 'cause I keep breathing fire. And you keep telling lies. I keep going high, she keeps going low. I still count the days. I still feel the pain. You don't wait for me, 'cause I keep breathing fine. I won't wait for you, 'cause you keep telling lies. I keep going high, she keeps going low. At the end of the day, she's gone. But you don't wait for me, 'cause I keep breathing fine. And you keep telling lies. I keep going high, she keeps going low. At the end of the day, she's gone. But you don't wait for me, 'cause I keep breathing fine. And you keep telling lies.
And I am back. Anyway, we'll be talking, like I said, about the New World Order, and just waiting for those who are going to join us by live chat to do so. But how many of you have felt this shift of energy, like something is on the way, like all the pieces of the puzzle are going to come together and are on their way together? And I was feeling this way about 2 weeks ago and noticed something rather small and started to check it out, and lo and behold, I kept finding more and more, and very strange. And then this led to that, different, just connecting the dots, and the dots just kept getting more and more. But rest assured, everything is connected. Very, very strange. It's not something that I would have really. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have thought about it 2 years ago. I might have a year ago, but it's really, really strange, very shocking. And that is who and what the driving force is to have this New World Order, this global system of surveillance, which is nothing more than a global system of control. And it's just the people. Some you say, well, okay, well, that's not shocking. That's understandable. But there's some that it's just, you're like, wow, didn't see that one coming. But appearances can be deceiving. And hey, Elaine, glad you joined me. One's a lonely number. But it's very strange. It's a strange feeling when you realize that that what you thought was I don't know, true, real, or whatever, that it wasn't. And I just want to say that it's my feeling, it's my belief that right now nothing is what it seems. Nothing is what it seems, and everything's basically been compromised. And I think that has been something that has been accomplished because of our trust in our officials, our trust in our leaders. I think to one extent or another, we're all guilty of some level of blind trust, and I cannot emphasize enough how dangerous that is, because man, you talk about trust being compromised. It really has. In my view, in my opinion, it has. Um, we'll be talking about our world, our leaders, and how it seemingly lines up with what has been written, in biblical prophecy. And it doesn't matter if you believe in the Bible, if you don't. It doesn't matter if you believe in God. It doesn't matter if you do believe in God, or if you believe in God or you don't believe in God. Makes no difference. Hey, Patricia, glad you joined us. What matters is that even if there's people that are listening who you may not believe in God, you may not believe in the Bible or whatever. Well, if I show you where this lines up, like word for word, and all the signs are there, then I'm not going to keep, pounding and saying things over and over and over. I'll just let you make up your own mind, and no hard feelings. I mean, you can believe it or not. And I'm not asking anyone to believe it. I just want to present what I have and let you do the math. But it's very in depth and very creepy, to say the least. Anyway, there's been talk for years about the end times, and I know that I'm just like everyone else. When somebody starts talking about, well, it's the end times, or the tribulation's almost here, I'm like, oh brother, here we go again. I mean, everybody said that from, I don't know, as far back as I can remember. It's like every few years, oh man, here it comes, it's the end. And well, I have reason to believe that, as being one that never liked to hear anybody talk about that, because they were always, seemed like they were on the fringe of insanity or whatever, that they were trying to make their case with anything they could, any way they could, just to make it fit. And like, this is going to be the end, and I'm going to find the things to justify that or to prove that. I wasn't looking for this, and when I saw it, I'm like, okay, what is this? Is this some kind of, I had to pinch myself. Am I dreaming? Is this like a dream? Because I didn't go to it. It came to me. And so, being the inquisitive person I am, I went further, and it led to this. Okay. There is a group. There's a group of Jewish people. It is the Chabad. It's spelled Chabad, Chabad. The Chabad Hasidic Lubavitcher Judaism, that is based on their most sacred book in Judaism, is the Talmud. Okay, well, when I saw that, I was like, wow, the Talmud is very, very rabid. I mean, just racist, saying things just as plain as day, such as a non-Jewish person or a non-Jew is subhuman. And or things like a non-Jewish person, which they call a Gentile, or they call them goyim, which is basically livestock, cattle. Or like the greatest thing or the highest position that the goyim may reach is to serve, to be a servant to a Jew. And I'm thinking, yeah, I don't think that, I really don't see that as benefiting me or even being respectful in the least. So I'm going to have to decline on that. Then they go so far as to say that if a Jewish person, if a Jew strikes a non-Jew, that it's okay, it's fine. But if a non-Jew hits a Jew, then they should suffer death. They should be executed. And they were asked why, and well, because we're God's chosen people. Well, right is right and wrong is wrong. And even if you are God's chosen people, that does not give you the right to run around being racist, lifting yourselves above everybody else, and just raising hell. Wrong, like I said, right's right, wrong is wrong, and that's wrong. I don't give a damn who you are. You may be God's chosen people, but maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but that's not going to cut it with me. It's not going to cut it with a lot of people. You show me respect, I'll show you respect. You start that God's chosen people on me, I can do what I want. Try and see how far you get in doing what you want. That's all I'm going to say. Now, I respect everybody, but I don't respect bullies. I don't respect ignorance, and that's just ignorance. And it's amazing at how many intelligent people, I mean, they're not idiots. They're in this ignorant sect. And I'm coming to the point that this is really, really important. Very, very scary, because a lot of our current world leaders and people in power, they're actually part of this. And I'm talking, this is crazy. The Talmud, and I'm not saying that every Jew, that every Jewish person is into this. I'm just saying that there are some that are into it. There are some who are Jews, but they do not follow the Talmud. But there's some that do, and it's I think the estimate of this group, this sect, it's been called a doomsday cult or whatever. It's about 200,000 people. It's not really a big group as far as the globally, but damn, I mean, the Talmud is is just as violent, just as racist, just as rabid as any other book or teaching that you can possibly imagine. And the things it teaches that a Jewish priest may have sexual intercourse with a little girl 3 years and 1 day old, and that it's nothing more than it's like putting your finger in your eye and your eye watering, and that it'll be fine. And I'm serious. You can't make this up. And then it says that that a Jewish priest can have sexual intercourse with a little boy, and it's nothing. Well, objection, Your Honor. Both are very, very serious, and honestly, if the God you serve has said that that's okay with him, I don't want to serve that God. So just with your superiority and your even if you have the power to put to death those that refuse to follow or that criticize you or whatever, you know what? Just get with it, Right. Exactly, Patricia. And I'm glad you said that, because in New York, this is really, really disgusting, but it is, but I'm, leave it to Beaver. I'm going to read this to you word for word, and it is, it's unbelievable. And like I said, I leave it to me to bring it to you, because most people, they're not going to want to talk about this. This is something that has been swept under the rug, and let's see. Well, okay. All right. This was in the Independent newspaper in the UK, and there's tons more. In 2017, herpes cases among babies linked to ultra-Orthodox Jewish circumcision. Now, you're probably asking yourself, how does that take place? Well, New York Health Department alerts doctors to infections linked to an ancient ritual in which circumcision wound is cleaned by mouth. I kid you not. And it says that the majority of Jewish circumcision ceremonies do not include the Mazitza Bepa, and that's the ceremonial scissors and tweezers and scalpel. That's because the ultra-Orthodox rabbis, like I said, you can't make this up. They don't include that little kit or whatever it's because they do the circumcision with their teeth. Oh, wow. And you can look it up. The rabbi, the rabbi, literally, and I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna get graphic or anything, but it's graphic, so I don't want to make this, vulgar or anything, but yes, when he's been circumcised, the rabbi puts his mouth around the genitals and sucks the blood. And I'm thinking, what do we have here? Is this like a Jewish pedophile vampire or what? I mean, come on. And then you have these people that are like, well, it's a Jewish rabbi. I don't give a damn who it is. I don't give a damn if it was like a guardian angel. And they've got their mouth on a child's genitals and they're sucking the blood, or probably saying, well, I'm just cleaning it up. There's other ways to clean it up. I mean, that is really, really, that's wrong. I mean, that is just so wrong. Well, and then the deal is that that these babies have contracted herpes, among some other STDs. All right. Well, get this. This is such a. It's just like, hey, let's have this. Our baby boy is getting circumcised, and I have to say, if I was there, it's like they throw a party, or they're celebrating, and if I was there and I saw that, I really don't know what I would do. I mean, it's like, do you hit the guy in the head and help the baby, or I'd probably think I was like in Rosemary's Baby or some kind of horror movie or something, and which will come to horror movies later. This gets wild. I mean, this gets crazy. And like I said, it's been swept under the rug because, pardon me, but nobody has the balls to say anything about when a Jewish person messes up, when they make a mistake, when they do something wrong. And for damn sure, nobody's going to speak out against Israel. I don't care what they do. Case in point, I have seen so many like hidden camera, Israeli soldiers who didn't know that they were on camera at these checkpoints, these checkpoints in Palestine. And it's sickening. It is sickening how brutal and how unmerciful that these these Israeli soldiers are to the Palestinians. I'm talking, they took this one old Palestinian man who was trying to take his wife to the hospital, and she was hemorrhaging or something, and these Israeli soldiers, they pulled this old man out of the car, and they start questioning him, and as they're questioning him, they're shoving him, and berating him, just humiliating him. And not one time did he ever show them the least bit of disrespect or anything. And this one Israeli soldier, there were three. This one looks around, kind of like, he looks one way, and he looks the other way, and I'm going, oh, damn, this is not going to be good, I mean, this guy is, oh, you could just see it in his face, man. He was evil. And he takes the butt of his rifle, and next thing you know, he has slammed it into this elderly man's mouth. And this man hits the ground. They start kicking him. The guy's done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. I mean, you could tell he was scared to death, just when they pulled him out of the car. He's not showing any disrespect. He's not showing any violent tendencies. They kick this guy, and I'm pretty sure, they broke ribs. I mean, this was brutal. Man, was it brutal. And I have to say, it killed me, because I don't care who you are. I mean, if the tables were turned, yeah, I'd feel the same way. But this man was just begging them to stop. He was hurting. He was in some serious pain. And they really know how to inflict it. And he's begging them to stop. And they stop. And he's laying there. He's bleeding. And he's crying and screaming. And they're all laughing at him. Okay, well, my point is if that was Palestinians or any other group that did that to an Israeli, it would be on every news media, it would be on your TV, it would be on your internet, it would be everywhere. There would be an outrage. But because it was the Israelis doing it to the Palestinians, it had to be somebody with a camera phone to get that out, because God knows there's not going to be any media that's going to touch that. Why? Because they would be accused of being anti-Semitic. You would be against Israel. Well, what is Israel? I mean, think about it. What is Israel? Are the people that are in Israel right now, are they the Jews? Is that their real homeland? I mean, I'm just gonna say this, that when the nation of Israel was rebuilt in 1948, many people said that it was biblical prophecy that says that Israel would be rebuilt as a nation in a day. Well, it was. But it was rebuilt, excuse me, it was rebuilt in a day by the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. Every building there has their name on it. And they were the only ones with the money, multi-billionaires, to accomplish that. Okay. They are Jews, but they are Russian Jews. They're Khazar Jews, Khazarian Jews, or whatever, that came down from the Khazars into Russia, into Israel, Palestine, and basically said, we're here and this is ours and we're taking over, and kicked the Palestinians out. And so there it goes. there's another group that live in Israel that are Sephardic Jews, and they're the they're the real Jews. They're the actual Jewish people. These Khazars, it brings me to where Jesus said in the book of Revelation, he says, he says, beware of those who say they are Israelites, who say that they are the children of Israel, but are not, but rather they're a synagogue of Satan. Well, as far as that goes, that's right on the money, because according to their beliefs and what they do, what they want, I would say that would be an apt description. Synagogue of Satan. Certainly not of God. Okay, I've said all that, which leads me to this. Is back during the time of Jesus, and like I said, even if you're not spiritual, if you're not religious, which I hope you're not, religious, but if you don't believe in God, or you do, if you don't believe in Jesus, or you do, if you believe in nothing, or if you believe in Christianity, or whatever, it makes no difference. This is going to affect every single person on the planet if what I'm saying, if what I have found is true. And it's just that. This is something that is being implemented. It may have already been implemented. It may have been signed today. I'm serious. It may have been signed today. And that is the 7 Noahide laws that God supposedly gave to Noah. That's what these Chabad Jews, that's what they want. They want a world system, and that's what the New World Order is. They want a world system where everyone must follow the 7 Noahide laws, and I will read those laws right now, and it doesn't seem very strange or whatever, but when you get down to what it's really saying, it's pretty creepy. Okay, 7 Noahide laws, and I believe that it may have already been signed. I know that this particular sect of Judaism has been trying to get these laws signed into effect since the Carter administration. So, the 7 laws of the 7 Noahide laws. Number 1, do not worship idols. Number 2, marry to have children. Number 3, do not commit adultery. Number 4, do not consume blood. Number 5, do not steal. Number 6, do not murder. And number 7, do not bear false witness, do not lie. And what's really, that went away. Okay, here we go. what's really creepy about that is that when it says, do not worship false idols, it is, you believe, if you don't believe in the God of Judaism, then you're committing idolatry. And that is punishable by death. Yeah. So, freedom of religion, freedom of worship would be a thing of the past. You could not worship who you wanted to worship. You could not say, okay, I don't believe in anything. Well, that's fine, but you're not going to be a part of the system, because chances are you're going to be dead. And I'm serious. That's what's so insane about this. Do not blaspheme. Do not take God's name in vain. If you do, death penalty. Do not murder. Respect and value human life, including unborn babies. Okay. If you do commit murder, then you will pay the penalty. Do not commit adultery. Forbids immoral acts that destroy family life. They're all about family, they say. Okay. If someone commits adultery, death penalty, just like it was in the Bible. Yes, Patricia, absolutely. Absolutely. We have become what we hated. Absolutely. Says, do not steal. Respect the property, money, and time of others. Do not eat the flesh of an animal while still alive. I don't know who would do that, but yeah, it's pretty much a given. And then number 7, establish courts of justice. Well, get this. In the Talmud, it says that that if a Jew wants to kill, and they're encouraged to kill a Gentile, a non-Jew, that he may do so if he does so indirectly. And he should do it, I'm serious, he should do it, but not do it in his hometown or around his surroundings. He should go to a different city to do it. And this is like, whoa. Okay, so that right there, don't commit murder. Well, what about you? I mean, it says plainly in the Talmud that you can, but if a non-Jew murders you, then they're dead. But you can do it. And it says, do not commit adultery. Forbids immoral acts that destroy family life. Okay, but you can commit incest, you can commit pedophilia, and so you're immune, right? Do not steal. But you can steal from the Gentiles, because in the Talmud it says that if a Gentile steals from you, they should die. But it says that you can take what you want from the Gentile because you're part of God's chosen people. Now, do we really want these people to establish courts of justice, or to, and they're very, very just pushy. Oh man, they never stop. Methodical. They never stop. It is, and you should see, I mean, the way they did Carter, the way they did Reagan, Bush, I mean, these are the people who are in control. They are in control, and they are you can tell they are. You can tell that they are in control. They have all the, they're not shying back from anyone because of that person's position or whatever. I mean, and they want to speed up the return of the Messiah, of their Messiah. Okay. Well, the thing is you can look it up on YouTube. You can see it in some news reports or whatever, where they're talking to the 70-man Sanhedrin. Okay, the Sanhedrin is the judicial, the religious group of the 70 elders that basically Jesus went on trial in front of, and they put him to death. Well, guess what? That group is back. That group is back in Israel. The 70-man Sanhedrin, and they're saying that their Messiah is here on earth, that he's back, and he's going to be revealed very soon. Well, Patricia, the only thing about that is that that would make us murderers, and I know that seems like that's something that just that we would want to do naturally to take up for those that have been hurt, or those that will be hurt. But right, but it's there's much more to it, and it is really, really creepy how we have all missed it, and it's just been working under our, under our radar or whatever for so long. It's like the Apostle Paul says, and I never really understood this until now. He says, for the mystery of iniquity is already at work. He says, only he who now restrains it will continue to do so until he be taken out of the way. He says, then that lawless one shall be revealed, the son of perdition. Okay, well, what does that mean? It means that this underlying strength, this underlying mystery that people, they feel it, but they didn't know what it was. They didn't know the workings of it. And but now I believe that's something that can be explained, because it's certainly been working, and it's not just men, it's not just groups or whatever, but it is spiritual energies, maybe even entities that have that are working through this and bring this about, because this is something that you can see it and you can feel it. And if I'm wrong, then tell me. You're welcome to disagree with me, but when we're through here, I want you to go on YouTube and I want you to look at these different leaders and how they're acting towards certain people. And you tell me if these people have not seemingly changed somewhat to where that they appear to be, I don't know, they don't appear to be really, it sounds weird, but they don't appear to be completely human anymore. It's like something else is in control. Almost like they've been cloned, or their AI, because their emotions have, I don't know, it's like their emotions have bailed. They don't have any emotions anymore. They just have this stern look. Very, very creepy. Okay, now, what I was talking about as far as the universal laws, they want to establish courts of justice. Pierce, you say, I wouldn't want to do that, but geez, at least we wouldn't have to deal with them at that point. Well, it seems to be that they're the ones that are going to be in charge of everything, in charge of this New World Order. And there's so many who are part of it that they're whatever you want to call this main person. Some people say, well, this is the king of the world, which is right, Rex Mundi, or is what it's called in Latin. The king of the world, the world ruler that has been talked about. Henry Kissinger said back in the 90s, he said, if there was a man who could bring peace to the Middle East between the Israelis and the Palestinians, he says, even if we knew he was the Antichrist, we would put him in power over the world. Henry Kissinger said that. Said, yep. Said if he could do that, then we would put him in charge. We'd put him in power, because that's something that has never been done before. There's never been anyone that could bring peace to the Middle East between the Palestinians and the Israelis. Now, this goes back to the sons of Isaac, Jacob and Esau. Jacob is the son, or is the blueprint, he is the, metaphorically, he is Israel. Esau is metaphorically Palestine. Two brothers, two twins that have always been at war, and no one has ever been able to bring peace. Well, it's my contention, my belief, and if it sounds crazy, then, feel free to let me know. But I'm going to give you reasons why that I believe this is so, and also the names of the people, who the people are who know what's going on. Now, I know that the term Antichrist has gotten a lot of usage, and people throw that around a lot. Well, I know who the Antichrist is. I know who he probably is, and all. Well, Antichrist, man of sin. It doesn't matter what term that you use, what label you put on him. It's going to be, this is what it is. It is the man who is against humanity and is for himself. Me, me, me. He doesn't give a damn about humanity, even though he's going to appear to care about the world itself, you know, and he's going to be charismatic, a great actor that's going to win many people to his side, and he's already doing it. Because I believe that I know, or I have a pretty good idea who he is. And not only who he is, but who key other people will be in this and how this is going to play out. And it's going to play out, if my calculations are correct, then it fits in with biblical prophecy as far as the book of Daniel. And it's going to be very soon. It's going to be very soon when he's going to be revealed for who he is. And I'm talking in a little over a month. It's already been set. When I say it's already been set, he has a very important appointment in a little over a month. And now don't shoot the messenger. I'm really going out on a limb here. I don't really think so. Maybe I am. Gosh, I can't explain it, but I just feel like that I have to share this. I feel like that I have to share it, especially with the things that have happened in the last week, which show me that everything's changed. And thank you, Patricia, and I am going to share them that show me, and let me know what you think if it shows, you know, if you see the same thing or you feel the same thing. Is there's been an increase in speed. There's been a change in the way things are done, the way things are done at the White House. And I'll tell you now, it is, in my opinion, it is not Trump. It is not Trump. But it is someone very close to him. Someone that he has delegated to go to Israel on April the 9th of this year and to broker a peace treaty between the Israelis and the Palestinians, something that has never been done in human history. And also, when the high security clearances were all revoked because of the intelligence community were worried about this man's something in this man's past, something about him they were worried about. So my theory is that they revoked everyone's temporary high security clearance, including him, so they wouldn't have to single him out. And immediately, Trump signs some kind of takes an executive. I don't know, signs an executive order or whatever, and gives him back his security clearance. And it caused some in the intelligence community to resign, because it was that powerful, it was that important. And I believe that it is none other than his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. I need to take a short break. I will be back in 3 minutes, and I will tell you why that I believe that it is him, a Hasidic part of the Chabad Judaism sect. And I'm going to take this short break. I'll be right back, and I'll tell you why I believe that it is him and what's going to take place very shortly.
The
Okay, I'm back. Anyway, the what is very strange about, or what is unusual about this, is I don't normally go around naming names of people that naming names of anybody really, and surely not saying, okay, I think I know who this world leader is going to be. So the reason that I believe that it's him is because of several different things. Number one, he seemingly came out of nowhere and to the most powerful office on the planet, and he doesn't have any political experience. He was basically unknown 2 years ago, and now there are magazines, publications. There's people that are calling him President Kushner. They're saying that he's the one that was responsible for Trump being elected, since he was senior advisor on the Trump campaign, and that he is the one controlling the president, as hard as it is to believe when we're talking about President Trump, because they say that he's the senior advisor to President Trump. He is. And you're thinking, who is this guy, Well, case in point, the prophet Daniel says that, speaking about the Antichrist, he says that he calls him the little horn, and he says that he will come up seemingly out of nowhere. Nobody's going to know this guy. Nobody's going to, he's going to come up, and people are going to, they're not even going to see him coming. And next thing you know, they're going to be singing his praises. They're going to be following him, saying, who is like, this man who can, who has all this power and this charisma, and they're going to be like falling in love with this guy. They're going to be worshiping this guy. And the way that you gain that type of following, the way that you gain that kind of attention is by doing things that no one has previously been able to do. And that's what I'm saying is, if on April the 9th, if he brings peace to the Middle East, watch what happens. The world is going to be astounded, because for the first time in 6,000 years since it all began, there's going to be peace in the Middle East. That's unheard of. And they're going to say, how did this 38-year-old inexperienced young man do this? Okay, well, probably like he did when he was sent to meet with the Iraqi prime minister, whatever you want to call whatever he's called, the leader of Iraq. Unannounced, just arrived and talked with the Iraqi leader, concerning something. I'm not sure what it was. And Trump had sent him over there. And the reporters asked the Iraqi leader, how it went. He says, "I'm in awe." And they said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "Well, first of all, no one has ever came here unannounced." And he says, and no one has shown the knowledge of our country, our culture, our history as much as Mr. Kushner. Well, when he returned to Washington, everyone was like, how did you do that? How did you wow this guy with your knowledge of Iraq and their history, and where did you learn about Iraqi history? Even Ivanka asked him, his wife asked him, where did you learn about Iraqi history? And his response was, I read some of that book about Iraqi history when we were waiting on the ski lift. Hey, baby. There's Mona. She said the way that my husband learned and retained that much knowledge about Iraq, the Iraqi culture, customs, whatever, she says, is nothing short of miraculous. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's the kind of thing that I would expect from this man, who the Bible says will be a man, but the beast or the dragon will give him his power, talking about, Satan. And he will receive his power, but it will not be his own. Now you tell me, can someone sit down who's not a savant and read the history of Iraq, the culture of Iraq, different detailed things that has happened in one of the oldest cultures of countries in history? Can they really learn that in that short amount of time? I don't think so. I think that is a matter of standing out and having people say, maybe this is the man that can bring the world to where we want it to be. Maybe this is the man that can leap buildings in a single bound. Maybe this is our Superman. And there are magazines that are already calling him the Man of Steel, the Good Son, Israel's Messiah. Could this be Israel's Messiah? And that's my question, could it be Israel's Messiah? Because right now, the Sanhedrin, they are having a gold crown made for their Messiah that they call the Mashiach. And they say that he's already here. And it's just that I believe it's March 20th that he's going to be here, or he's going to be known in a very short time. He's going to be revealed who he is, which is very, very creepy because everything seems to be adding up. Now, Kushner, in 2007, made the largest, the most expensive purchase of a building in New York ever for $1.8 million. And that was when he purchased this building that was 3 times the amount that it sold for 10 years prior, and it was something like 2.5 times more than what the building was worth, which tells me that he really, really, really wanted that building, that location. And he put the $1.8 billion offer down so he would be damn sure that he got it. And he got it. And the building that he purchased is located at 666th Avenue, New York, New York. Now, some people might say, well, that's just, that's not a big deal. It is a big deal because of the location of the building. The building is surrounded by the Rothschild building, the Rockefeller building, the Harvard secret society building, Trump Tower, and I'll read the other one in just a minute. But it forms a pentagon with the 666 building in the middle, which when you add those points together, you start sacred geometry. You add those points together, and you add the points of the points together. You begin to see that the center of this pentagon lines up with the center of all these pentagrams and things like that. And so there's that building holds a lot of powerful energy. And this is something that is not something that is just hearsay or we think it does or whatever. The building itself is charged. The building itself is charged. Now, look up how stones, crystals, granite retain energy, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, not only is that building 666 Fifth Avenue, but on the 6th floor is where Lucent Technologies, formerly Lucis Trust, and back in the 1920s, that company was started by Alice Bailey at excuse me as a printing company that for 2 or 3 years was called Lucifer Trust. That through time began to change names until it was Lucent Technologies presently. Okay. On that 6th floor, Lucent Technologies has been and is currently and continues to work on the RFID biotechnology chip that people are having put into their hands, into their bodies. And I think it is just, it's not coincidence that some people have said the mark of the beast will be RFID. That's how that, people are going to be tracked and everything. What are the chances that the very company that is working on the RFID chip is working in the building at 666 Fifth Avenue, New York, that's owned by Jared Kushner. You tell me, is that coincidence, or is that, what the hell's going on? And to add to that, George Soros, 88-year-old George Soros, is a family friend of Jared Kushner's parents, and Jared Kushner is very close to George Soros. George Soros has loaned Jared Kushner, I'm talking some mega money, millions, if not billions, on different business ventures and things. And it's been said that George Soros owns half of Lucis Trust. Lucent Technologies, which is working on the RFID chip. Now, personally, I don't think it's going to have to be a chip. I believe that it's going to be some kind of biofrequency, genetic biofrequency of your DNA. And let's see, Patricia, you say, oh my God, some dude at my work randomly told me about that chip thing a few months ago and told me to look up this stuff. Yeah. See, Elaine, you say Ivanka and him are worth 1.1 billion. Well, yes, that's their net worth, but he has friends in high places. He has friends. He has global. I'm talking. Read more into it. Read more into it. Read about how he has gone to visit the Saudi princes. Okay. How close he is to George Soros. How he has basically he has wowed and has everyone that he has met in awe, including Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, who is his parents, the Kushner family, has been their friend for, 30 years. So close that when Jared was in high school, Benjamin Netanyahu was in the U.S. and stayed at their house. Jared slept in the basement, and Benjamin Netanyahu slept in Jared's bed that night. Okay? Now, and then you have George Soros, who's a family friend. I mean, this guy's like their son. Benjamin Netanyahu's talking about, oh, Jared, I remember when you were this tall. He's like 3 years old or whatever, And just looking at him like he's I don't know, it's like his son or something. And with this love and this admiration. And but what is really strange is, and this is what I was telling Elaine, is, and I've told a few other people, is that you have these powerful men, like you've got Trump. And let's face it, nobody intimidates Trump. Trump doesn't get nervous around anybody. Same with Netanyahu. And I guess what I'm trying to say is they don't kiss ass. But man, they are beside themselves around this guy. And they're just sugary sweet. I mean, every chance they get to compliment him, they do. While he stands back and he's just quiet. Just reserved, quiet. And recently, well, You can look up his picture, you can look up his photos made in 2015, and you see how he's seemingly the all-American guy, you know. He's smiling, he's this, he's that. You look up 2016, 2017, and you see this change. He's not such a happy-go-lucky, you know, guy anymore. You look up 2019, just a few days ago, and I swear the guy has the darkest countenance. Hey, Nazarene, glad you're here. He has this very, very stern demeanor. Just absolutely. I mean, this guy looks like, I mean, I hate to say this, but he looks like Damien of the Omen movies. Like, not like, you know, the adult Damien, but it's like little Damien, but he's just big. I mean, this guy, you know, he was not creepy, he was not intimidating or whatever. But now, I mean, like, if I looked over and I saw him looking at me like that, I would be like, okay, dude, you need to back off. My soul is not on the market, you know. I mean, stop trying to suck my soul out of my body or whatever, because it looks like that's what he's doing. It looks like that he is plotting the murder or the death of every single individual and their dog, and he's thinking about how much he's going to enjoy it. I mean, it's, yeah, I'm exaggerating, but I mean, look at the pictures. Look at the pictures and tell me if he is if he looks evil, or it's almost like he's trying to look evil, which would be really stupid in my opinion. But it's like now the nice guy stuff is over, and he's just trying to appear evil, trying to look evil. And I don't know if it's so much trying, or if he's just like playing the part, or if the time is now here to where it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who knows or what. But I will say that that the Chabad Lubavitch sect of Judaism, Ivanka had to renounce Christianity and accept this form of Judaism. His name is Jared Kushner. He is President Trump's senior advisor, and he is his son-in-law, married to Ivanka Trump. And he is a, like I said, he's Jewish, and has very powerful ties, and he has influence and some kind of power over I don't know, over powerful people. It seems like. Oh, no problem. Patricia, no problem at all. But he has this quiet authority, and for the longest time, he never talked. And so there were many people that were asking, does he talk? What does his voice sound like? Well, he's very soft-spoken. But and that's what's weird about it, is he doesn't come in throwing, a lot of power, and weight around. I mean, this guy stands in the back, but he doesn't have to stand in the center of the room. He doesn't have to be in front. He can stand in the back of the room. He can stand on the sidelines, and all eyes are on him anyway. And he's not saying anything. He's not doing anything. It's just that he has this weird charisma, this draw out of everybody in the room, the most powerful men on the planet. Nobody's looking at them, they're looking at him. This quiet guy is standing over in the corner, It's like, what is it about him? What is it? Well, could it be that that's what the prophet Daniel was talking about? Is he said that he will not honor the gods. He will not honor the God of his fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So he will not honor the Jewish God. It says instead he will honor a God of fortresses. Patricia, you say his cheekbones and jawline concerns me. Well, he certainly his face, his appearance has certainly changed. His cheekbones have become higher to where it looks like he is almost squinting, or like he is glaring. And as far as his jawline, I'm not sure about that. But look at his eyes. Look at his eyes and how his smile has turned into a sinister grin. And that's right, Mona. His eyes look dead. They just look dead. To where before that time, they didn't. They looked alive. So, but this is something that is public news. I mean, public information. It's not something that I'm going to be outing or revealing so much. I mean, of course, I guess I'm saying that I'm not going to be the only one saying this, but back in 1998 to 2000, Trump was very, very close to going bankrupt. He had borrowed so much money, and get this, who did he borrow it from? Well, he owed $7 billion to 72 different Jewish banks. Okay, that's a lot of money. That's so much money that I don't care who you are, you're never going to pay that back. There's no way. And I guess he knew that when he took the loans, because he not only put up his property and his belongings and everything as collateral, he put himself up for collateral. That's right, he put himself up for collateral. And that was acceptable because, number one, people knew him, public knew him. And number two, he was a hell of a salesman. And so what happened was he was more beneficial to them, more useful to them, alive, let's face it, you owe somebody that much money, especially these people, and you can't pay. Yeah, things don't usually work out very, very well in the end for you. I mean, that's just, and we're not just talking about borrowing money from banks. We're talking about borrowing money from, call it what you want to, the Jewish mafia. And they don't play. They don't play. Money walks. Money is everything. And nothing else matters. So, you borrow money from them. Number one, you have to be at a certain level. You have to be a certain, even in the elite, you have to be the elite of the elite to even borrow money from them. So that tells you who they are. And there are countries, yes, there are entire countries that borrow money from them, and they're the Khazarian Jewish mafia, who's the head of them, who's the head of their group, whatever. Well, it's been said to be Netanyahu, and that would not surprise me. Matter of fact, I believe it. I believe it is. Netanyahu is not one to be taken lightly. Also, have you noticed how Vladimir Putin, how he is seemingly sympathetic to these Chabad Jews, this certain sect, and how he and Trump are, they're close. I mean, they should be. They've got one thing in common. They have a neighborhood in, I think it's New York or New Jersey, a neighborhood that is made up of these Jewish people that are part of this Chabad sect. So my question is Vladimir Putin, could he be part of this sect? Could he be Jewish, And Trump himself, is he part of it? Could he be part of this Chabad sect of Judaism that follows the Talmud? And I mean, the Talmud is crazy. I mean, I've got to say, it's crazy. It's like if you see a Gentile drowning, and you save the Gentile, then God is going to hate you. God's going to punish you. But if you let the Gentile drown, God will bless you. And I'm thinking, are you serious? I mean, come on. Because like if a Jew was drowning, or anybody, I'd be right there helping them, and they'd be like, oh, thank you. And I have to say, it would really piss me off if I was drowning and some Jew goes, well, you're not Jewish, so see you later. I'd be like, oh man, I've got to survive this. I mean, come on. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we have to keep a sense of humor about this, although there's nothing humorous about that. That is just, Man, that is just so cold-blooded. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Shane, here, give me your hand. Oh, wait. You're not Jewish, are you? Nope. Well, guess what? I'm gonna have to go on. I'll be like, excuse me? What? That's insane. But, let's see. There's this, okay. Well, all right. I'm trying to find something very, very quickly here. Is that, okay. The RFID chip is developed by the company Lucent Technologies, located on the 6th floor of the building at 666 5th Avenue, New York. The building is owned by AT&T, or it was, the largest provider and wholesaler in the market for local long-distance and mobile telephone services in the U.S. This organization is co-funded by the CIA, the United Nations, and none other than George Soros, who appears to be co-owner of Lucent Technologies. Recently, it has been announced, and this is an article from a few years ago, recently it has been announced that AT&T is divided into 3 different companies. One of the 3, the company known as Bell Laboratories, now continues under the name Lucent, Lucius, aka Lucifer Technologies. After all, in the 1920s, when it was a printing company, Alice Bailey named it. It was called Lucifer Technologies. The software they use for the Inferno applications continues under the name Limbo, and the communication protocols designed for Lucent's Inferno software are called Styx. All 4 of these names are synonyms for hell. All 4. Inferno, limbo, limbo between heaven and hell. Styx, the river Styx in Greek mythology. And also, one of the 3 known as Bell Laboratories is actually taken from Baal, the Hebrew god, demon god. Baal, some people say Baal. Bell, B-E-L-L, is kind of like they're saying Baal Laboratories. And then you've got Lucent, which Lucius, and then that was Lucifer. And then these software and applications are all synonyms for hell. With this background information, the number of the beast, 666, which would indicate the Antichrist, suddenly becomes more important than we thought. And I would say it's bad enough that the guy is part of this Jewish doomsday sect that and they literally want to bring about the tribulation. They want to bring about the apocalypse. They have a song that they sing We want Mashiach now. We want Mashiach now. And they just say that over and over and over and over and over. They want the Messiah now. Because when they say something about their Messiah, you have to remember, excuse me, you have to remember, they're not talking about Jesus. They're not talking about any Messiah like you and I would talk about. They're talking about much more. They're talking about not only they're talking about a political ruler. And see, that's part of the reason why that they rejected Jesus, is because they wanted someone that was going to come in and that was going to stomp Rome into the earth and decimate by force. Jesus came in peace. And well, that's why that the Antichrist will worship a god of fortresses, a god of violence, a military god. Okay, well, what country is the most powerful military country on the face of the earth? The United States. Who just received the high security clearance from his father-in-law, who's also the president, despite some concerns from the intelligence community on him doing so? Makes you think. Matter of fact, my question is what was the reason for him to automatically, seemingly in a rush, why was that chance even taken to allow him access to that high level security clearance? I mean, come on. That's very suspicious. And just so you'll know, I've never talked about politics. I don't like talking about politics. I was neither, as far as Trump, I was neutral. I didn't have anything to say. But now, it's like I'm wondering what's going on, because, I mean, come on. You have to ask yourself, what president would go against his own intelligence community when they're saying, hey, there's some problems here, there's some things we want to clear up. And before that can be done, he takes, he makes an unprecedented move by, I forget what they called it, signing an executive order or whatever, and gives it back to him. Only I don't think it's temporary this time. I think it's permanent. And what's the deal? I mean, what is going to happen? And what does he know? And that's why that some of the intelligence officers They resigned. They resigned that day. They said, to hell with this. They said, if you're not going to listen to us, you want us to do our job, but you're going to override what we say. They said, it's just because it's your son-in-law. Well, is it? Is it just because it's his son-in-law? Or could it be because, yeah, it's his son-in-law, but it's also something else. Something else that is basically running the entire show. And from what I've seen, from what I've put together, the dots I've connected, and they're all connected. Trust me, they're all connected. This man at 38, Jared Kushner, he is in control of every single thing. I mean, everything. He is Eric Schiff, I believe it is, that was over at Google, or one of the Google, one of the ones that developed Google. He was for Hillary big time. When he found out that Jared Kushner was Trump's senior advisor during the campaign, he said, oh man, he said, Hillary's lost. He said, if Trump has him, he said, Trump's going to win. And that was really something that was really strange, because nobody knew this guy. Nobody knew who he was. It's like, well, how's that going to happen? I mean, just because he's got Kushner, I mean, and so this guy knew then that that he really had had some power, and so anyway, just really strange how he had so much trust and faith in Kushner's abilities. But when we come back, we'll start getting into the how that what the price may have been for Trump and his and his loans that he couldn't pay back or whatever, and if they called on him, and what they possibly asked him to do, and how that they may have their man Kushner in the highest office with access to everything, and with him going to Israel on April the 9th, the same day as the elections, is very telling in itself. But even more interesting is that Benjamin Netanyahu is being indicted as the only sitting Prime Minister of Israel to be indicted, and that his chances, because of his being indicted and the story around that, may be detrimental to his re-election. Wouldn't you say? The way I see it is, if something, it would take something big. something like revealing the Messiah, Israel's Messiah, having returned, or something to divert people's attention away from Netanyahu being indicted. And this is the way I see it, is Netanyahu and Kushner are so close. I mean, he's known him since he was a little boy. Wouldn't you say if they say, well, here's the Messiah, and it is, it's this man, Jared Kushner, and he's and he's a lifelong friend of Netanyahu, don't you think that any animosity because Benjamin Netanyahu is being indicted on, I forget what the charges are, but they're not good, any feelings, negative feelings against him would be pretty much dropped if he's got the Messiah's backing. That's pretty far-fetched, but it's not impossible. Especially when you learn about the smoke and mirrors and about how there are so many that are out there and they're doing just that. They are acting. They're acting, and it's really hard to swallow that we have played into it. So when I come back, I will discuss that. Be back in 3 minutes. See you then.
But
And I'm back. Okay, Elaine. Thank you for joining us and your input as always. Sweet dreams. Anyway, let's see. I was going to talk about the smoke and mirrors. How that this is literally, it's really shocked me. Okay, and I know that I'm always saying, appearances can be deceiving. Man, I was really blown away when I read read about the prior to during the Trump campaign. Trump vilified George Soros. I mean, they went back and forth. Soros said that Trump was an imposter, that he didn't know what he's doing. And I mean, he was very, very believable. I mean, you could just see the seething hatred towards Trump and vice versa. I mean, it's like nobody can hate like Soros. I mean, Soros just, forgive me, but man, the dude looks like, you imagine the devil himself looking. I mean, really. I mean, I'm just telling it like it is. I mean, you look at Soros and you just, man, it's like, damn, somebody better notify God, because Satan's in human form. I mean, it's like, whoa. But that's just it. Is we would imagine Satan looking like somebody like Soros and not somebody like Kushner, But anyway, the smoke and mirrors. During Trump's campaign, he was talking about how bad Soros was, how he didn't like him, and Soros was vice versa and everything, But then it turns out that Soros and Kushner are very, very close. And in that case, do you think that Trump would have his senior advisor as his senior advisor if it was all a lie, if it was all a charade, if it was all, I don't know, a production, a drama, people playing their part? But why would they play a part like that? Why would they play a part? Why do you do anything? You're working towards a it's a means to accomplishing something. Truth is Trump, Soros, Kushner, they're all in it together. They have to be. How could you talk and be so much against someone that is, I don't know, it's basically like your son-in-law's grandfather? And that's what Soros is to Kushner. Really? I mean, read about it. His business ventures. Soros has loaned him the startup money on most of his business ventures. It's been George Soros. So it doesn't make sense unless it's all an act. And I'm telling you, that is not far-fetched. It is not far-fetched if it turns out to be that it is an act. Because there's been stranger things happen, and like I said, it is, if it turns out to be a production or they're acting. I'm not claiming to have the answers. I'm just saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, and please say, please let me know what you think. Don't you think that that's a good question to ask? Why did you vilify George Soros? And Soros, why did you, do the same to Trump when you both have this connection? And the connection being Kushner. But one thing, too, is that Trump's daughter, Ivanka, of course, married to Jared Kushner. But since then, every one of his children have married Jewish people, these Chabad Jews, and his daughter Tiffany is currently dating someone in that, and it seems to me that when Trump put himself as collateral, do you think that it may be safe to say that he was called on it? Maybe something like this is, hey, we told you that, we would be needing you, and we need you now. And this is what's going to happen. We're going to put you in the White House, and you're going to sign you're going to sign what we want you to sign. Because let's face it, you owed us a lot of money. So the payback's going to be a lot. What I'm wondering is, with $7 billion, I mean, it's like, wow, that's gonna be a big favor. It's gonna be a big payback. The question is how big. And that's what's frightening. That's what is unsettling. And it seems like it's already taking place. I mean, it seems like it's already in effect. Because who sends their senior advisor over who has absolutely no experience to somehow broker or pull off a miracle of bringing peace to the Middle East when no one in human history has ever done it? Is there something about Kushner that we're not seeing, that we don't know? Or is he somehow, I don't know. Do they see him as being this man of sin, this Antichrist, the son of perdition, the lawless one, who receives his power from the beast? Is that why they're sending him over there? I know if it was me, and this was such a huge, this is a huge deal, I wouldn't send someone over there that had no experience in diplomatic affairs. I think I'd be sending someone that I knew had the experience and the expertise to do so, but very, very strange. And just want to get your feelings on this, and when we come back, I will finish on talking about the different key points and wrap this up. I think Mona's going to join me too, so be back in 3 minutes. And I'm back. Okay. So, there's many more players. When I say players, there's many more people that are in on this. Please don't think that this is just a somehow my theory alone. There's many people that are saying well, not many, but there's several people that are saying, yeah, this is him, this is the time and everything. But they have different reasons, things that I don't necessarily agree with as far as that being the case. There's different reasons why that I believe that it is him, or could very well be him. And I'm telling you, if it is not him, then I really don't know who it could. I don't know of anyone that has ever met or will ever meet the criteria that Scripture has put out. And not only the Bible, but also, I believe, the Quran and different other holy prophetic texts. They're all pointing towards someone very much like this man. And when reporters were asked about what they found out about his childhood, it was very strange, because it's like this guy's life didn't start until he was in high school, or when he graduated high school, and that's seemingly when it started, because they said as far as his early childhood, or through his up till he was 18, says there wasn't much information to be found. I'm like, there wasn't much information to be found? I mean, we're talking about the president's senior advisor, and there wasn't much information to be found? People could, that wanted to, not that anybody would want to, they'd be so bored, but, they could go and they could find my history, probably tons of it, and with ease. But that always makes me suspicious when somebody says, "Well, yeah, this guy's in the highest office of the land, very, very powerful." Well, he may not be powerful yet, but I promise you, if this is the case, then what just happened, what just took place with the security clearance and stuff, you tell me. You tell me. What, why, and that should be just shouted from the rooftops right now. What the hell's going on? I mean, there's protocol. Did the president have authority to do that? Yes. But just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. Doesn't mean you should do it. And my question is what did Kushner need with this high security clearance? I mean, what is it? What does he need? What does he have to gain by having this high security clearance? Is it because he's the senior advisor? It seems to me like that would not be needed as far as being a senior advisor. That he could advise on those high level information on a need to know basis. versus just, letting him go like a kid in a candy store. Mona, how do you feel about that?
Oh, that's just very disturbing.
Very disturbing. Yes, yeah, it is. And taken also with with the fact that he is he's part of this this Jewish Talmud following. I don't know, these murderous, weird, well, just rabid. That's saying that let's basically let's clear. Let's cleanse the earth of the Gentiles. Let's cleanse the earth of the Goyim. And it's, the Rabbi Schneerson, which if you look, you'll see that they that Kushner and Ivanka went to this Rebbe Schneerson's grave before the election to pray for Trump to win. Okay, the only thing is this Rebbe Schneerson is, he's not what he seemed to be. And there's an article online that's called the dark side of Rabbi. I don't know if I'm saying it right. The Lubavitcher Rebbe Schneerson, Schneerson. Kushner and Ivanka, they basically worshiped this guy. And a lot of people thought that he was the Messiah. And, excuse me, I have a small cough. Mona and I, we've been going through, not been really, really sick, but we had a cough that we're taking steroids for. And, it's really, I think she's doing better, and it's like this cough just won't stop with me. But anyway, it says that that he taught things that were inspirational and meaningful, but this article is more concerned with the darker side of what he taught. And that's what I want to say, is that many of these schools of thought, these teachings, they teach one thing openly, and then behind closed doors they teach something else altogether. And for the darker side of the apocalyptic messianic movement and overt racism at the core of his teaching, it is likely to be his lasting contribution to the Jewish world, in which his prestige, thanks in no small part to popular writings by Joseph Telushkin and Adin Steinsaltz, continues to rise even as serious discussion about his legacy has all but disappeared. Right, Mona. You say it's just difficult for okay. It's just difficult to believe that this has gotten as far as it has. Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying, is it's gotten this far. I believe it's gonna go as far as it's meant to go. I believe it's gonna end, and that it's going to serve its purpose. Excuse me. It says Rebbe Schneerson's teaching invites serious practical consequences. Some of his most vehement sermons were devoted to the promotion of Middle Eastern military might. While Israel's violence against its Palestinian intermission intensified and its attacks on neighboring countries reached new heights of savagery, the Rebbe rationalized the occupation and egged Israel's military assault against Lebanon in 1982, as he would cheer on the American-led carnage in Iraq 9 years later. Now see, that's bullshit. I don't care who you are. War is not something to be cheering about. You know, people are dying, you know, men, women, children, and you're standing there like an idiot, jumping around, all, you know, cheering, and no. And much less you're claiming to be this religious authority, the spiritual authority. You know what? Sit down and shut up. I mean, really. So, this is why then is the Rebbe given a pass for his warmongering in support of oppression of Palestine, surely the ugliest blot on the Jewish tradition in modern times. This question cannot be shirked. The Rebbe didn't just tolerate Israeli oppression, he encouraged it. He says in his book, In Eyes Upon the Land, explicitly based on the public statements and writings of the Rebbe, it says the reader is told that every inch of territory in Israel, including the lands taken in the Six-Day War, must be held by the use of Jewish military force, regardless of international law. Get that. Regardless of international law or the consequences for non-Jewish population. Now that, if I said that, or if you said that, regardless of international law, and you had the authority, you had the position of power, you had the influence that he did, and you weren't Jewish, you would have whiplash. They would throw you in jail so fast. Did they do him like that? No. He says, why? Because the ordinary Arab in the street seeks nothing less than Arab domination, a dominion over the entire land of Palestine, and regards all Israels with deep-seated hatred. The Rebbe never produced evidence that a non-existent Palestinian army would somehow overwhelm Israel's massive military forces, there being none. But the darker question is why the Rebbe's insistence on Jewish domination over the same land and deep-seated hatred of Palestinians and other Arabs he encouraged during Israel's slaughter of over 17,000 people in Lebanon in 1982. The Rebbe repeatedly criticized the Israelis for being too timid, didn't justify the use of force by Arabs against their Jewish attackers. The only possible answer is the obvious one. Jews were different from non-Jews by definition. Jewish goals mattered to the Rabbi. Arab lives didn't. Well, that's just it. That's it. That's their mindset. Is Jewish lives matter. Every other life doesn't. Non-Jewish lives do not matter. Which kind of explains what the Bible says about the tribulation and the great tribulation. What is that about? What is that going to be? What's that going to consist of? You know, I have to admit, I thought in my mind that it was going to be this satanic or this evil satanic cults that were going to go around, and you know, we're going to say, do you believe in any God or power besides Satan? And if you said no, if you said yes, I believe in Jesus Christ, I believe in Buddha, I believe in, but I don't believe, I'm not going to bow to Satan, that they would cut your head off, that they would execute you. That's what I thought. I thought it was going to be that. Turns out that my mind has been changed, because at one point I thought it was going to be like it was in the Crusades with the Catholic Church doing the same thing. Only it wasn't, they didn't kill people for they didn't ask them if they wanted to bow to Satan. They were doing it in the name of God through Christ. And if the person didn't want to submit to Christ, they killed them. Okay, that's just as bad, if not worse. But this that I'm seeing will be Jewish led, and it will be yes, Mona, exactly. She says you grow up in churches that put the fear of God in you about the tribulation, and then this is a completely different thing. Well, not completely different, but every church that I was ever in as a child, which was not many, but then in my 20s, I was in many churches, many Protestant churches, that they taught a completely different view of what the tribulation would be about. And one thing, too, is it was always, bless Israel, love Israel. Israel is God's chosen people, and, this and that. Just like John Hagee down in San Antonio. You can't miss him. He's 4, I think he's like 5'2" and 4 foot wide. So you can't miss him. And I used to watch him, I used to watch him on TV, and I really, really liked his message, and because he hadn't sold himself out to the almighty materialistic God. He hadn't sold himself out to money. And when he did, I stopped listening to him. I just didn't have anything. It made me sick. And but he is all about just, he is all about Israel. I'm talking Israel can do anything they want. And John Hagee's going to justify it some way, somehow. He's friends with Netanyahu. He's been friends with every prime minister of Israel since, I think, Menachem Begin. And he's damn proud of it. Well, you know what? He can stay damn proud of it. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much power you have, how much money you have. I don't care how much money you can give me or what you can do for me. If you're wrong, and if you do wrong, and if you treat people wrong, if you abuse those who cannot defend themselves, and you take joy in doing it, and you see yourself as superior to someone because they're a different race, or they believe differently, or anything different about them, you're an asshole. Pardon me. No, don't even pardon me. You're an asshole. And I know that that's not, it's not the best language, but sometimes there's no other term to use. And what's worse is how I see these so-called ministers like John Hagee get up in the pulpit, and when they're supposed to, when they claim to be teaching the Word of God, when they claim to be Christ-like, and they're in the pulpit making fun of people who are gay, or people who have AIDS, people that are suffering from that, and they're encouraging military strikes on Iran, just like they did Iraq. They're encouraging warfare. They're encouraging war, and they're teaching that the Palestinian people are evil, and that this and that, That's even worse, because you're standing behind a pulpit with people who look up to you, people that that you're supposed to be teaching the doctrine of Christ as far as love and acceptance, and you're teaching and you're promoting hatred, and it's like John Hagee. I mean, he got to where I couldn't listen to him anymore. He would just just blah blah blah, and then he would just really drive home very strong about a certain thing, and then he would laugh about and make fun of different things. And when you have Israel, or so-called Israel, which, by the way, it's amazing to me how these evangelicals are always in the White House when a new president is elected, and Trump's no different. I mean, he had that goofy Kenneth Copeland standing right there with him. I'm thinking, good God, what the hell's about to happen? I was praying for the apocalypse to happen when I saw Kenneth Copeland. Anything but him. Anyway, so Trump's like, they're there as to consult, and I'm thinking, yeah, well, we're in a hell of a bad, this is going to be bad if we have Kenneth Copeland calling the shots, even spiritually. If something goes down, I mean, it'd be like, glory to God. I mean, no, thank you. That is so goofy. He is so goofy. I would, seriously, I mean, just, I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm not. I am not going to be any part of anything that Kenneth Copeland, has to do with it. Well, right. But you have to say, he wanted a well-known Christian by his side. Poor choice. I mean, very poor choice. But anyway, he might as well have had, like, Howdy Doody, which is my name for Kenneth Copeland. He looks like Howdy Doody's dad or something. But, right, exactly. Tell everyone think he's trustworthy and a cool and a good guy. Yeah, well, it must have worked, but that's just it. When and I'm not talking about Kenneth Copeland because he doesn't have the theological knowledge John Hagee has. John Hagee could have been good, and he was good for a while. Could have really, really, really knocked the ball out of the park. I mean, we're talking 1987, and he didn't even make it 10 years before he starts this health and wealth, name it and claim it BS along the lines of Jesse Duplantis, and you guessed it, Kenneth Copeland. Now he's really, really remarkable as far as, spiritual knowledge. Threw it all away following those idiots. And then that's all he talked about was the prosperity, and then he gets into the Jesse Duplantis, Kenneth Copeland, allowing them to tell their stories about. Kenneth Copeland talks about how Jesus came and visited he and his wife one night, sat down on their couch, and they talked, and I'm thinking, okay, where's the punchline? Because, well, there's no punchline. He let them, and then Jesse Duplantis, he's taken a few trips to heaven, and he swam in the river of life with Jesus, and I'm thinking, John Hagee's allowing this? I mean, he's allowing this guy to just, I don't know. It's like a mockery. And that's exactly what he did, Oh, he talked about, seeing Abraham and talking with King David and all this. And I'm like, what's happened, And then, next thing you know, they're selling tickets for people to go on a cruise with John Hagee and Jesse Duplantis. And I'm like, oh, man, enough of that. But John Hagee, really, you talk about separation of church and state. Well, he doesn't believe in it. He wants to be in the middle of all politics and giving his opinions and plans and everything, but he talks about how Israel has been attacked and how the Jewish people have suffered and they have been mistreated, and I'm not saying they haven't, but I've never heard John Hagee or any evangelical talk about anybody but the Jewish people suffering. Let me tell you, there's been a lot of people suffer. Some people have suffered worse than the Jewish people. Yeah, I said that. You know, and not a damn thing's been said about them. It's all about the Jewish people. Nothing against the Jewish people. I mean, suffering. But when John Hagee or somebody gets up and they talk about how the Jewish people, how the Jews have suffered, and they say nothing about the suffering that they cause, and they say nothing about the Palestinian people who are suffering. I mean, their children being blown to pieces, their children being maimed, when Israel is the only Middle Eastern country, state, whatever you want to call it, that the United States allows to have nuclear weapons stockpiled. I mean, yeah, to the gills. Now you tell me what the problem is with that. Why is Israel allowed to have nuclear weapons and no other Middle Eastern country is? Remember when I said that Israel was rebuilt in a day according to prophecy? And who had the money to do that? To rebuild Israel in a day? The Rothschilds and the Rockefellers? The billionaires that had the money to do that? And then say, whoa, Scripture's been fulfilled. This was God's doing. Really? Why is Rothschild and Rockefeller's names on everything in Israel now? If it was God's doing, wouldn't it be God's name on everything? I would think so, but it's the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers' names on everything. And for people like John Hagee, I don't care who it is, however much loved they are, however much love they're respected, when they stand up and they say nothing about the Palestinian children, women, men being blown to pieces, because let's face it, all they have are rocks. Think about that. All they have are, basically they have rocks. Israel has the capacity, the capability to to blow the earth off its axis. And you're going to talk about how the Palestinians attack Israel. Really? I mean, that's... and then you don't say anything about their children, you know, walking around, if they live, with being multiple amputees because of, you know, like a cluster bomb or something like that Israel rolled out to them, or bombs, you know, that were used. When you build up Israel as being God's chosen people, and what they do is they're sinless in doing, and you talk about their suffering and nobody else's, you're an asshole. You are an asshole. You're a bigot, and you're racist, and you're an ignorant Zionist is what you are. And I know that that's not going to go over well with a lot of people, but do your homework and you'll see. I'm not talking about the Jewish people as a whole. I'm talking about these ignorant, racist, bigoted, dumbass Zionists who are not, they are not Jewish. They're not the true Jewish people. Jesus called them, he said, those who say that they are Israelites, but they are not. They are the synagogue of Satan. And that's exactly what they are. They're imposters. I'm talking about the Rothschilds. I'm talking about the Rockefellers. I'm talking about everybody that follows them. I'm talking about this Talmud loving Chabad Lubavitcher sect. And to me, I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how powerful you are. I don't care what position you're in. If you're in something like this, you are wrong. You are wrong, and you know you're wrong. There's no way that you can justify the mistreatment and the abuse of people just because they're not like you. And thank God I'm not like you and I never will be like you. I think I'd slit my own damn throat and do the world a favor. Honestly. And pride cometh before a fall. Remember that. So, I'm just saying that racism, bigotry, hatred of any form against anyone, especially people who are completely innocent, like these children, like these Palestinian children, when Kushner made his last visit to the Middle East, to Israel, something like it was the first day of school for the Palestinian children, and Israel, I don't know what for. I don't know if it was like a show of they were showing off or what, but there had been brand new schools for the Palestinian children that were donated and built, and the Palestinian children are all happy about getting to go to brand new schools. Only they didn't get to go because before they could go, well, Kushner was there, or soon after Kushner left, Israel blew those schools off the map. Now you tell me, when you're blowing up children's schools, I don't care who the children are, when you're blowing up the children's schools, what the hell is that? I mean, really? And when you have checkpoints, every quarter of a mile, and to stop the Palestinians from, I don't know, getting point A to point B, point C, and you're stopping them every quarter of a mile, doing searches and checks and stuff, and then you expect them not to be frustrated in the least, not to be upset because you're basically busting their balls every quarter of a mile. Look it up, people. Look it up. Look up these checkpoints they have. The Palestinian people are basically, they're trapped. If they have to go to the hospital, if they have to go to the hospital, of course they have to go to Israeli hospital most likely. It takes them something like 6 hours to get to the hospital, and it may be a 5-mile trip, but there's so many points they have to stop at, so many checkpoints they have to stop at, and it takes so long. And this is all out of well, we've got to be sure that you're not a terrorist. We got to be sure that you're not carrying a bomb. I'm thinking, how many damn times you have to check? And well, that's true, Mona. And it's like they've looked at me the same way. I mean, I've had people that were talking about Israel this, Israel that. Hey, did you hear about about Israel being attacked or whatever? And I'd be like, well, did you hear about did you hear about the attack in Turkey, or did you hear about the attack in Lebanon, or did you hear about the Palestinians being attacked? And they're like, well, yeah, we're talking about Israel. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm talking about other countries too. Well, Israel's special. Oh, here we go. And I'd say, well, the only thing is with those, with Israel, when Israel was attacked, how big of an attack was it? Well, it wasn't that big, I mean, did anybody die? Well, most of the time not. Man, people die when Israel attacks them. And but it's like, well, there's nothing wrong with Israel having nuclear weapons because they're God's chosen people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or so you've been told. Do you believe that? Do you really believe that the people in Israel right now are God's chosen people because it's truth, or do you believe it because that's what they want you to believe? Because with you believing that as truth from God, it makes things a hell of a lot easier for the powers that be to manipulate the hell out of you and the world as a whole. When you start asking questions and you start saying, I really don't believe that this is that a loving God would put up with this kind of mistreatment and this kind of terrorism or this kind of cruelty against anyone. I think that at that point, that's when it really starts to people say, well, you call yourself a Christian? Yeah, I do. You got a problem with that? Well, Christians support Israel. I really don't. I don't care what anybody else does, and I'm not going to fall into the trap of labeling myself as this or that, and as being if you're gonna call yourself this, then you have to support that. I don't have to support a damn thing. I'll support what I want to support, and I'll do what I want to do, and you do the same. Probably be really, really best for you health-wise to do so. Just mind your own business, and I'll mind my business. If you have a problem with me, just, keep going. I mean, I'm not going to call somebody out just because I don't agree with them or because I think they're wrong. But if I see people abusing other people just because they're different or because they're weaker, then you're going to have a problem with me, because I'm not going to just stand by and not say anything. No, you can call me crazy or whatever, but you can call me un-American, you can call me this, you can call me that. I don't care what you call me, but one thing you will know is that you will have a problem, because I cannot stand to see anyone mistreated for any reason. And some of the nicest people, some of the sweetest people that I've ever met, that I've ever known, were people that that I was told were this, that, were they were mean or just lies, maybe. I mean, and even if they were mean, they had damn right to be mean. They had been mistreated their whole life. So, why wouldn't they be? And a lot of them turned out to be very, very good friends of mine. And that really, it was just because people didn't they didn't understand them. And but anyway, that's the show for tonight. I know we covered a lot of information, but tomorrow night I'm going to go into a lot more about the Talmud, and a lot more about about when and how I think that this is all going to come down. And like I said, April 9th is when excuse me, April 9th is when Kushner is going to Israel for this Middle Eastern peace treaty. And again, if he does it, that is going to signal, that's going to be the signal that everyone that is looking for the this man of sin, this Antichrist, this world leader, that's going to be the key. It's going to be the key point, is the one who can do that, the one who does that is, you got it, that's him. And truthfully, I really believe that he's going to be the one that's going to do it. Number one, because he doesn't have any experience. Number two, because he just popped up out of nowhere. Number three, he's a Jew. Daniel says he will not honor the God of his fathers. He's talking about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He will seemingly, he says, but he will worship a God of fortresses, a God of military might, a God of violence. He will force people to accept accept his God. And that's just it. Is the Bible says that those who accept the Father but deny the Son, said anyone who denies the Son denies the Father. So those who accept the Father but deny the Son, they are of the Antichrist spirit. They're Antichrist. So Judaism accepts God, but they do not accept Jesus they don't accept Jesus, not at all. Matter of fact, they say Jesus is boiling in hell in excrement. That's what they say. And so they deny Jesus, but they accept God, which the Bible says is Antichrist. So when you get right down to it, truth is Judaism it's Antichrist. It's against Christ. And let me tell you, they are against Christ. Big time. I told Mona some of the things, I read some of the things out of the Talmud to her last night, and she was shocked as I was. I mean, it's horrible. I'm talking, and I will read that tomorrow night, but I have to put a disclaimer up because it is that bad. It is really, really. I mean, they pull no punches, and anyway, that's what we'll discuss tomorrow night. And just want to encourage you that if you come across any articles, any news, that's just groundbreaking or shocking, be sure and maybe screenshot it for me, because there's been a few articles that I've come across, and within 5 minutes they're taken down. And it's like I've learned to screenshot what I can, or copy and save, because that's starting to happen. Is when news comes out that is revealing, it's quickly taken down now. And if you don't save it or somehow copy it, and it's not just enough to bookmark it, because you can bookmark it and you go back and it's not there. This is because this is another sign that all communication, I'm talking Google, AT&T, Verizon, everything. I mean, your computer, your internet, your television, hell, even your refrigerator, smart refrigerator, whatever. It's all monitored, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And so we're going to have to look out for each other. When you find something that is revealing, something shocking, or that catches your eye, and you think that I might want to see it, please copy it, paste it, or whatever you can do, and send it to me at the Texarcist Live podcast, and at gmail.com. That's the Texarcist podcast at gmail.com. And I will continue doing the same and sharing my findings with all of you. Anyway, and just in closing, I want you to know that this had nothing to do with hate. I don't hate the Jewish people. I don't hate Palestinian people. I don't hate anybody. What I hate is I hate those who hurt others and who have plans to hurt others. That's what I hate. So love and light to you all. Love you all. Good night from Texas. See you tomorrow night.